Shalom. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ha-Rakakodash. Double honors goes out to the other apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Alright, so I'm going to be in 1 Samuel chapter 25 and verse 1. And this is actually talking about King David before he was king. And this is when Saul was pursuing him. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start at 1. It says, "And Samuel died, and all the Israelites were gathered together and lamented him, and buried him in his house at Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. There was a man in Maon whose possessions were in Carmel, and the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail, and she was a good woman, a woman of good understanding, and of a beautiful countenance." Alright, so it's talking about Nabal and his wife Abigail. And like it says here, Abigail was a beautiful woman with good understanding. But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. And that word churlish, it means rude, alright? Or mean. Let's go to verse 4. "And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, Get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, Peace be both to thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast." Alright, so King David, he was basically in need of a favor because he's on the run basically from King Saul's trying to kill him, pursuing him. And now he goes to this dude Nabal who's in Carmel, who has riches and wealth, for some help, right? Verse 7. "And now I have heard that thou hast shearers. Now thy shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them, all the while they were in Carmel. Ask thy young men, and they will show thee. Wherefore let the young men find favor in thine eyes, for we come in a good day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto thy servants and to thy son David." And when David's young men came, they spoke to Nabal according to all the words in the name of David, and ceased. Alright, so the young men went and basically did what King David asked him of a favor, right? Let's see what Nabal did. It says, "And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David, and who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master." Alright, so Nabal, which that word Nabal, it means fool. So he's a perfect example of a nomen omen, right? And living up to his name. He's a fool. So let's keep reading. "Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers, and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be?" So he was just being an asshole, he they came in the name of David, right? And he knew who David was. He was just literally just being a straight up asshole. You know what I mean? Keep reading. Verse 12. So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those sayings. And David said unto his men, so they went and told him that, hey, Nabal was rude to us. He wasn't trying to help us. You know, let's see what David says. And David said unto his men, gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword, and David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything, as long as we were conversant with them when we were in the fields. So, one of the young men, he's like, hey man, the master, which was Nabal, he railed on David's men, and these dudes were good to us, while they abode there. So let's read verse 16. They were a wall unto us both by night and day, and all the while we were with them keeping the sheep. See, so King David's men were good to the servants of Nabal. All right, and now they're reporting that to his wife, Abigail. Now therefore know and consider what thou wilt do, for evil is determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such a son of Belial that a man cannot speak to him. And basically this is saying he's a son of a bitch, right? Or son of Belial really goes back to Baal. Belial is another term or word for Baal, which, like I said in the beginning, that Nabal was a wicked man, evil. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, all right? And whenever someone calls you or referred to as the son of Belial, that's really just saying you're wicked as hell, and you're you're basically paying homage to Baal and not to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Verse 18, then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine, and 5 sheep ready dressed, and 5 measures of parched corn, and 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. All right, so she was trying to what do you call it? She's trying to make up for his wrongdoings, basically, for her husband's wrongdoings. And she said unto her servants, go on before me, behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. So she's trying to make a wrong right, all right? Because especially after the report that the young man gave her, that David's men were good to them, They didn't steal none of the sheep. They didn't hurt nobody. All the while they were staying there. And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David had said, surely in vain have I kept all that is this fellow hath in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained to him, and he hath requited me evil for good. So David's like, hey, we didn't do nothing wrong, but this guy, we wouldn't ask him a favor, and he repaid us with evil, wickedness, fitting his name, like it's about to point out in this next couple verses. Verse 22. So more also do Yahweh the power unto the enemies of David, if I leave all that pertain to him by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall. So hey, David was pissed off at this point, ready to slay Nabal. Verse 23, and when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience, and hear the words of thine handmaid. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal. For as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send. So she's basically pleading and begging to spare them, because she knew her husband did a wicked thing by not helping out David and his men, especially when they're in dire need of help because they got Saul pursuing them, And this is really right after one of the first time that Saul was delivered into the hand of David, and David didn't kill him because David was righteous man, and he said, I'm not going to lay my hand on the Lord's anointed, so he spared Saul. But all the meanwhile, he was still on the run because Saul was the king at the time and wickedly pursuing King David, who at the time he wasn't King David yet, he was just David. But like it says in this verse here, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. So that caused me to look up, the word fool in the blue letter. And sure enough, you look it up. Let me go to it real quick. We're going to go to Psalm 53:1. And when you go to Psalm 53:1, and you see it says, to the chief musician upon Mahalath Mashil, a psalm of David, the fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good. So see, the fool in his heart says there is no God, right? Now let's click on this. Because when you go to that word fool right here, let's click it. You see it right there to the right. And what's the word fool? It means Nabal. See, Nabal. So, let me see some more stuff here. So what does that name mean? It means Nabal, stupid, wicked, fool, foolish man, a vile person. Alright? So that's why when we go back to the scripture, let me read it again, verse 25. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send. See? So that's just an example of nomen omen, right? Let's look that up again. Nomen omen, it says the name is a sign. That's what nomen omen means. So your name is a sign, right? It's like a destiny name. So let's read it. In ancient Rome, the predictive power of a person's name was captured by the Latin proverb nomen est omen, meaning the name is a sign. This saying is still used today in English and other languages such as French, German, Italian, Dutch, and Slovenian. So nomen omen, it basically it means destiny name, or your name is the sign. So whatever your name is, whatever your name got, go look up your name and see how that name fits you, So in this case, nomen omen Just like she said about her own husband, hey, he's a fool, you know? And I'm going to keep reading. Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing Yahweh hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thine own hand, now let thine enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal. And now this blessing which thine handmaid hath brought unto my Lord, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thine handmaid, for the Lord will surely make my Lord a sure house. Because my Lord fighteth the battles of Yahweh, and evil hath not been found in thee all thy days. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee and to seek thy soul, but the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with the Lord thy power, with Yahweh thy power, and the soul of thine enemies them shall sling out, as out of the middle of a sling. And so she's still pleading and begging, basically for King David to forgive the offense that her husband did, all right? Let's keep reading. And she's doing a righteous thing, she's righteous for doing that. Let's go. Read verse 30. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh shall have done to my Lord according to all the good that he hath spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of the heart unto my Lord, either that thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord hath avenged himself. But when the Lord shall have dealt well with my Lord, then when Yahweh shall have dealt well with my Lord, then remember thine handmaid. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Yahweh power of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. Because why? Because David knows that all our steps are guided by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So it was the Lord who, in the men of the Lord, we know this, when someone comes cross paths with us, or, someone's in your presence, it's because, the man's Lord, or the man's steps are directed by Yahweh, all right? A man's goings are the Lord, all right? Let me get that real quick. Proverbs 20 and 24, man's goings are of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. How can a man then understand his own way? See, so King David knew that it was Yahweh that sent this woman on behalf of the wicked Nabal. And remember, Nabal means fool, or wicked, or foolish man, vile, all right? So he was just living up to his name. That's all he was doing. Let me go back to what verse am I on? Verse 32. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be Yahweh, the power of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. And blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou, which hast kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with mine own hand. For in very deed, as Yahweh the power of Israel liveth, which hath kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hast hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall. So he's like, if you wouldn't have came up here and done this, there wouldn't have been nobody out of the servants or the house of Nabal, not even the most useless one who's pissing against the wall, would have survived what we were about to do, right? Because he was about to take a vengeance on her, right? So David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, Go up in peace to thine house. See, I have hearkened to thy voice, and have accepted thy person. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart or mind was merry within him, for he was very drunken, wherefore she told him nothing less or more until the morning light. Nabal was throwing a party, right? He got all drunk. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. So she told him what happened. She said, hey, you did this wicked thing. You turned down the men of the Lord. You turned down King David's young men. And basically the Lord took Nabal's life on the spot, right? Let me read it again. And his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. It became hard as a rock. He was dead. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that the Lord smote Nabal, that he died. Okay, so he died 10 days later, but still, his health went to shit right after that. Right after he found out. See, that's how the Lord works. He could put you to death at any minute, man. If you offend him, or if you offend his men, he can put you to death, man. We have plenty of examples in the scriptures showing this, Verse 39. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord that hath pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil. For Yahweh hath returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. So this is the power of the Lord, man. Not only put you to death, but now he's going to give your wife to a righteous man, So you lost your life and your wife, all at the hand of the Lord. And King David didn't have to do anything, all right? Just in the same fashion that we're not going to have to do anything, brothers, against Esau. The Lord, the vengeance belongeth to Yahweh, all right? Read verse 40. And when the servants of David were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, David sent us unto thee to take thee to him to wife. And she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth, and said, Behold, let thine handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. And Abigail hasted, and arose and rode upon an ass with 5 damsels of hers, and went after her. And she went after the messengers of David, and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wives. But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Phalti, the son of Laish, which was of Galim. All right. Showing Saul's wickedness again. Because Michal was supposed to be promised to David. But, just like Nabal, Saul, hey, there's wicked men out of Israel, and they're going to be doing wickedness. So that's what they did. And, the reason I was doing this lesson was to bring out, the wickedness of Nabal, all right? Or maybe Lord's will, I'll do another lesson on Saul and his wickedness, but this was just focusing on the nomen omen for that dude Nabal, which his name means fool, all right? So the Lord named him fool, all right? And he was foolish to do what he did, and he paid for it with his life, all right, and his wife, all right? So with that, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ha-Rakakwadash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. I also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity. Shalom to the elect.